welcome, ladies and gentlemen. You're watching Canal Algérie News, and these are the headlines. In his latest interview with the national press, President Abdelmajid Tebboune highlights Algeria's economic progress, government reshuffle, and rising global role. The President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, awards National Order of Merit at the rank of Ashir to Algeria's UN representative, Ammar Benjama, for his efforts in raising Algeria's voice internationally in defending the just causes. Amid hunger, fear and relentless bombardment, Gaza journalists stand firm on the front line, risking their lives to ensure the world knows the truth. Mass protests erupt in Morocco as citizens demand dignity, justice and an end to corruption and repression. Welcome back. In his latest interview with the national press, the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, shed light on Algeria's economic achievements, the new government reshuffle, and the nation's growing role at the heart of Africa on the world stage. More details with Rani Al-Bahri.
In a wide-ranging address, President Abdelmajid Tebboune offered a sweeping view of Algeria's evolving role on the continental stage and its domestic transformation. His remarks began with a proud reflection on Algeria's hosting of the Intra-African Trade Fair, a moment he described not merely as logistical success, but as symbolic reaffirmation of Algeria's place at the heart of Africa. The fair, he noted, was more than an exhibition. It was a statement of intent, strengthening regional economic ties and positioning Algeria as a central player in shaping the future of African trade. The president then turned to the recent cabinet reshuffle, framing it as strategic recalibration. The appointment of Sefi Ghrieb as prime minister wasn't just a personal change, but a signal. Tebboune portrayed Ghrieb as a man of action, grounded in experience and attuned to the realities on the ground, precisely the kind of leadership, he argued, needed to drive Algeria's reform agenda forward with credibility and urgency. Agriculture, long a cornerstone of Algeria's economy, was next in focus. But here too, the president made clear that tradition alone would no longer enough. The sector, he insisted, must embrace technology and digital modernization. His choice of agriculture minister, selected for his expertise and innovation, was presented as a deliberate move to accelerate transformation and unlock new potential in food production and rural development. That theme of self-sufficiency carried through to the inauguration of a new dairy plant in Adrar province, which Tebboune described as a milestone, more than just a factory. The plant was cast as a strategic asset in Algeria's pursuit of food independence, a tangible step toward reducing reliance on imports and bolstering national resilience. On the broader economic front, the president struck a note of cautious optimism. He praised the collective efforts of Algerians in bringing inflation below 4%, a figure he cited as evidence of growing stability. Looking ahead, he announced plans to revalorize social allowances beginning next year, a move aimed at easing pressure on household budgets and reinforcing the state's commitment to social equity. Tebboune reiterated Algeria's unwavering support of the Palestinian cause, welcoming what he called encouraging development on the international stage. His message was clear: Algeria would remain a vocal advocate for justice and the legitimate rights of the Palestinian people, regardless of shifting geopolitical winds. The address concluded on a note of recognition, with the president announcing a presidential decree awarding the National Order of Merit to Ammar Benjama, Algeria's permanent representative to the United Nations. The honor, Tebboune said, was a tribute to Benjama's diplomatic contributions and a reflection of Algeria's enduring commitment to principled engagement on the world stage.
Acting on behalf of the President of the Republic, the Minister of State, Minister of Foreign Affairs, National Community, Broad and African Affairs, Ahmed Attaf, presided over this Saturday at the United Nations headquarters in New York a ceremony to decorate the Algerian ambassador to the UN, Ammar Ben Jama, with the National Order of Merit at the rank of Ashir. The distinction, conferred upon instruction of the head of state, recognizes Ambassador Ben Jama's exemplary service as Algeria's permanent representative to the UN. In a statement, the presidency highlighted the ambassador's competence, loyalty and dedication in representing Algeria on the international scene. The president himself, a recipient of National Order of Merit at the rank of Sad, chose to bestow this honor as tribute to Ben Jama's unwavering commitment to just causes worldwide, notably his advocacy to the Palestinian and Sahrawi people. The ceremony underscored Algeria's continued diplomatic engagement, its principled stance on global justice and self-determination.
يسدي السيد عبد المجيد تبون.
The President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, awarded the Ambassador and Permanent Representative of Algeria to the United Nations, Mr. Ammar Ben Jama, the National Order of Merit Ashir, as a recognition of his skills, his devotion and commitment in representing Algeria at this prestigious international forum, and in tribute to his wise and efficient defense of the fair causes around the world, especially the Palestinian and the Sahrawi causes, considered as the last battles against colonialism.
وتفانيه في تمثيل الجزائر في هذا المحفل الدولي المرموق.
وأنا أتسلم هذا التكريم.
This award makes me feel proud and humble because it's a moment of deep recognition. I express once again my sincere gratitude to the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, who took 2 years ago the audacious and unexpected decision to interrupt my retirement and called me back to serve Algeria in its diplomacy under his guidance.
Ammar Ben Jama, Algeria's voice at the international level, was awarded the National Order of Merit at the rank of Ashir by the President of the Republic as a recognition of his devotion, his strong, firm and direct diplomatic style in defending the fair causes. That earned him a global recognition. Here's a quick review with the diplomat's journey with Yasin Hamdi.
Algeria started the year 2024 as a non-permanent member of the United Nations Security Council. A strong presence marked by the devotion of an exemplary man, the Ambassador Ammar Ben Jama. This experienced diplomat managed to transform Algeria's mission in New York to a real meeting of the Arab and African causes by combining the historical consistency of the Algerian diplomacy and a modern style adapted to the mechanisms of international decisions. His devotion to the Palestinian cause and his denunciation of the genocide against the Palestinian people made him a symbol of efficiency, as his fight for justice made 14 countries join the Algerian ceasefire project, a diplomatic win that confirms more than ever Algeria's position at the heart of international debates. Ammar Ben Jama is a man of conviction who represents today a credible Arab diplomacy. He is a reference figure who uses the rigor of facts, clear numbers and solid proofs in defending the fair causes. His journey, marked by the unwavering defense of the Palestinian cause and the Arab rights, is an example that should inspire the whole Arab diplomacy. Faithful to the principles of the Algerian diplomacy, his action is part of a coherent mission. We pay tribute to Algeria's position at the United Nations, a clear and respected position, especially when it comes to the Palestinian cause. Algeria defends the rights of the oppressed people. At the Security Council, his firm and strong voice rises constantly to face the inaction of the Council. We will not weaken. We will not give in until the Security Council assumes fully its responsibilities. And emotion takes over when he mentions the victims. Dear Palestinian brothers and sisters, forgive us. The Security Council failed to protect you. His devotion earned him an international recognition. Awarding the Permanent Representative of Algeria to the United Nations, the Ambassador Ammar Ben Jama, the National Order of Merit Ashir, is not just a personal distinction. It symbolizes a sovereign Algeria. Under the guidance of the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, Algeria affirms day after day its position at the international level, not as another power, but as a free voice, faithful to its principle and its devotion towards the oppressed people.
And on the sidelines of the UN General Assembly's high-level meeting, the Minister of State, Minister of Foreign Affairs and National Community Abroad and African Affairs, Ahmed Attaf, met this Saturday with the UN Secretary General, Antonio Guterres. The talks focused on ways to strengthen international cooperation in support of global security and development. Attaf and Guterres also reviewed current international and regional issues, including Palestinian question, the decolonization process in Western Sahara, and the evolving situation in the Sahel region. The Minister of Foreign Affairs, Ahmed Attaf, also met with his Russian counterpart, Sergei Lavrov. The meeting provided an opportunity to review several aspects of strategic partnership between Algeria and Russia and to explore ways to further strengthen it in line with the directive of the two heads of state. The two ministers discussed the development of Russia's relations with the Arab and African countries, particularly in the context of preparations for the upcoming Arab-Russian summit and the Russia-Africa Ministerial Forum. The two ministers further exchanged views on key regional and international issues, including the situation in the occupied Palestine and the question of Western Sahara and development in the Sahel region. Later on, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Ahmed Attaf, held talks with his counterparts from Brazil, Cuba, Honduras and Nicaragua. The discussions focused on strengthening friendship and cooperation, enhancing historical ties, developing institutional and legal frameworks for bilateral relations, and setting priorities for cooperation following the opening of embassies in Algiers and Managua. To the Middle East now, and in the face of hunger, fear and relentless bombardment, journalists in Gaza continues their work on front lines, brave and constant dangers, risking their lives every single day to ensure that the world hears what's actually happening, showing that the facts and voices cannot be silenced. نجح تيار.
على بعد أمتار فقط من تواجدنا هنا في قطاع غزة أغارت مقاتلات الاحتلال الإسرائيلي.
In Gaza, journalists stand exposed in worn vests and fragile helmets, faces gaunt and bodies drained by hunger. Yet, even on the brink of death, they refuse silence, bearing witness with unshakable dignity and forcing the world to confront the images of devastation.
هذا هو الحال في هذه المنطقة التي أصبحت عبارة عن عمليات إجلاء وإخلاء وهروب للمواطنين الفلسطينيين.
More than 250 journalists have fallen in Gaza, yet the cameras have not stopped rolling and voices have not been silenced. For 2 years, under constant threat and danger, they have continued to testify. Among them, the name Wissam Abu Zaid stands out, a voice and a pen that carried Gaza's wounds to the world. He endured hunger, forced displacement and fear. He was deliberately targeted to silence him, yet every attempt only sharpened his resolve. For 2 decades, Wissam Abu Zaid documented the daily life of the Palestinian people under bombardment, and his voice rising above the roar of explosions, his images piercing the silence the occupation tried to impose. Even standing on one leg, he chooses to remain in the arena of honor, wielding the sword of words. Wissam, Salama, and countless others have documented massacres carried out against a people denied both voice and peace. Amid the ruins, they continue to chase fragments of truth, written in blood, filming by the flash of explosions, and refusing to let the world look away. Journalists in Gaza are not only casualties of war, they are deliberately haunted as witnesses of history by exposing falsehoods and dismantling the occupation's narrative. They have left it increasingly isolated on the world stage, and they remain steadfast guardians of a sacred land where each dawn brings another martyr of the pen. Still, the coverage endures, and the voice of truth breaks through every border.
وسام أبو زيد التلفزيون الجزائري فلسطين.
The political crisis in France keeps worsening. The country faces a huge debt with 3,400 billion euros, and the union calls for a national strike as the government census did not meet their expectations. More detailed with Yassine Hamdi.
With a public debt that worsens the financial situation in France and a political crisis that weakens the institutions, it seems that the country lost its balance and struggles to keep its promises. The government is unable to consolidate its sound foundations as the leaders have no solution to the current social and economic situation. The numbers don't lie. The public debt reached 3,400 billion euros, which means 115.6% of the GDP, according to the National Institute of Statistics. On the field, the discussions between the executive and the union led to another blockade, which resulted in a call for a national strike on the 2nd of October. The union considers that the government has no respect for the social demands. We are extremely angry because the mobilization of 1 million people was not met with clear answers. That's why we're determined to continue our mobilization.
À leurs demandes, à leurs inquiétudes, et donc c'est pour ça que nous sommes déterminés à continuer la mobilisation.
The financial crisis in France touched also media institutions such as France Télévisions that now struggles to maintain its finance. In its latest report, the Court of Finance warns against the critical situation. The austerity policy makes the survival of the French institutions impossible. The Court of Finance made the diagnosis. Now it's up to the government to find solutions.
The Moroccans took to the street in an unprecedented numbers after several ignored cries demanding dignity, justice and an end to corruption, repression and normalization with the Zionist entity. Najah Diyar with the details.
Calls from Moroccan unions and activists on social media have ignited a wave of unprecedented protests sweeping across Morocco since yesterday. From city to city, crowds denounced the corruption of the Mersin regime and the crushing conditions it has imposed, and what began as scattered outrage has turned into nationwide defiance, with demonstrators vowing to press on until change is forced. They refused to treat my daughter because it would reveal their corruption. Her sickness is on them. I have asthma and still no doctor cared. I went to public hospitals but were denied even of our basic right to treatment. Our youth are in the streets because of health and education sector's corruption. We just hope what happened in Agadir doesn't happen again when peaceful protesters were beaten and forced apart. We won't stop protesting until our children's needs are met. We are suffering and our children are paying the price. Met with brutal police and military repression, the Moroccan people's calls for justice are being violently silenced. What authorities try to crush with force has in fact grown into massive demonstrations, an explosion of anger after weeks of daily protests against corruption. The Moroccan people are living through a collective extermination in every sense of the word. No education, no healthcare. People are dying for the smallest reasons. Police stations have become centers of torture and killing. Freedom of expression has completely disappeared. Free voices are suppressed daily, with killings both physical and moral. People are forced to live in tents without a war after their homes were taken and handed to the Zionists. The Moroccan people's fury is not limited to economic and social grievances. It has also erupted against the Mersin's normalization policy. Their defiance comes at a time of rising global solidarity with the Palestinian cause and mounting condemnation of these Zionist crimes in international and regional arenas.
Well, that was it for tonight. On behalf of all the team that made this broadcast possible, I do thank you very much for watching us. Bye for now.